Well, to be honest, initially you wouldn't even tell that your voice is an option in terms of career, because as a guy or as a boy, your voice probably breaks when you're around 12, 13. So until that time, you don't know whether you've got a good voice, you don't know what you're dealing with. But in my case, when I was at high school, I was at a boarding school, I started getting people telling me that I have a good voice when I was around that age. But even then, I didn't know that there was a career called being a voiceover artist or anything of that sort. So I was channeling the good voice, so to speak, into what I was passionate about at the time, which was music, rap music specifically. And then at around age, I suppose 18 or so, is when I found out that you can be a voiceover artist, and I haven't looked back since. So initially, no, I didn't know it was a career option. Late into my teens, I did. Are we on the right path in 2018? We probably are to some degree. I have a philosophy or a little thing which I use to try and get people to question where we are. And it's the whole concept of having passport music versus NRC music. So NRC is your national registration card, and in Zambia you can use it to get around, but it cannot bleed outside the borders of Zambia. Once you cross the borders of Zambia, it's irrelevant. Passport music allows you to go global. So there are a few artists who've managed to take their music outside the country. So a couple of examples, I was in Uganda, and in Uganda, the person who was hosting me, her sister plays Pompey's music constantly. So that the time that I was there, the music that was playing in her car was Pompey's, which is amazing because obviously that shows that he's crossing borders with his art. Similarly, I was told a story by a friend of mine who landed in Rwanda, and the cab driver was playing music by Mampi. So that's another person who's doing passport music. And then the last example is one that I experienced personally when I was in Mauritius in 2015 or so. I was at a shopping mall on what Mauritians called their music day. And there was a band that was playing all sorts of music, and then they played a song that I thought is familiar. And then the band leader says, "My name is Roberto from Amarula." And so the band in Mauritius, of people who speak French mostly within that band, were playing a song by a Zambian artist, meaning that he's also crossed over. So to some degrees, there are examples you can point to and say, this guy, that guy has done well. And, I think there are many steps to be taken still to get us to where we need to be, but we're getting there. Yes, we have a few projects on the go. So one of them is a podcast called Key Africans Unlocked, which I'm hosting alongside a good friend and collaborator whose name is Zubs. Key Africans Unlocked should be available on YouTube and SoundCloud sometime soon. And then hopefully the book that I've been writing for so long will be out. My editor tells me that she should have it ready early part of this year. And if that's the case, then hopefully before mid-2018, the book will be on shelves. So those are the two projects I'm excited about. There might be more music, but stay tuned. The Radio Conference 2009, it was called the Lusaka Radio Summit. We did 3 editions before it discontinued, and the motivation behind it was just a desire to try and make radio better where it started for me. So I began my radio career at Radio Phoenix in 1996, and each time I'd go to Zambia on holiday or whatever, after being based in South Africa, I'd always listen to radio and see whether it's improving. And truth be told, from the time that I was on radio, the practices that are being implemented today are fields ahead. So radio has improved. So the motivation was just to create a platform in which radio practitioners from Zambia, from South Africa, could be in one room and share knowledge. And it worked well. It just became an expensive venture in the end. And hopefully, before I'm put in the box, we'll do the Radio Summit in some form. Fortunately, BBC Media Action, I believe, have what they're calling the Radio Indaba, which is doing a similar thing. So there isn't a vacuum per se, because radio practitioners in Zambia are still getting together, learning and improving their craft. So that's that about the Lusaka Radio Summit. My favorite Zambian dish, I suppose, would be kapenta. But topping kapenta, believe it or not, finkubala. Love that stuff. If if you ask my wife, she'll probably say the one thing I indulge in too much, microphones. But the first microphone I bought, I think I was 18, and yeah, I don't know how many I've got in my collection at the moment, but there's always a reason to get a new microphone. Not all microphones are made the same, so I think that's probably it.